Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to the channel. Whoa, it's been like 2 weeks, dude. All right, listen. All right, I've been grinding, okay? Not with this, but I've been grinding. Just trust me, okay? Anyway, let's get into the chart and what is going on with my heart. No. Let's get into what we think is going to be going on. We'll review some of the things that we talked about in the previous video. I broadly have an idea, remember, where we were standing, because I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, the last time that we made a video was probably would have been back here. So I think it was like this initial bull trap move that we had here, where we pulled back. Where we were saying that, you know, we were expecting continuation on the pullback, but eventually that we would continue up to retest this bear trend, the macro bear trend, which I have kind of multi-drawn here a little bit. I have this line, which I think is a more important line, so we'll make that one more thick. At least in the short term, this is the one we should be paying more attention to. And then I have this like precautionary sort of, if you break this line, this can be like your next resistance, because I don't think that anything is ever an accident. This was that big weird CPI pump where you immediately dumped right back down. I think that was left that was left, okay, for a reason. So, and that reason, let's just get into that right now. What I'm expecting is, I am expecting chop, okay? I don't think anything exciting is going to be happening over the course of the next week or so, okay? And when I say exciting, I mean like major price action, major pushes to either direction outside of these trends. I do believe, and look, just because that's the nature of this market, okay? This market right now likes to build anticipation and then have a market event occur that drives price through a major trend, okay? So that's the first thing. Now, that doesn't really matter, okay, to have that opinion, because from a trader perspective, the only thing that you need to know, right, is, hey, when we test this trend, my bias is that price will go down initially as a result of that, right? That's what I do anyway. So I don't really, this doesn't matter, okay? I'm assuming that the trend will hold. I always assume that a macro trend will hold first. And then if that trend is broken, then I play the other side, right? And if I am wrong and it traps, then I get out of that, and then I look for the opportunity the other way, right? So macro trends are the most important thing. What I'm saying is, it doesn't matter, because if it breaks to either direction, that's the direction that we will have a bias in. Protect yourself against risk. You know? Anyway. So other than that, what are we looking at overall, okay? What I will say is that this effort, this local effort here, is very distributive in nature, okay? The one that you just got out of is very distributive in nature. Just like we said, this one was accumulative in nature. This looks like you're dumping shares, okay? This does not, I'm using futures today because I think that right now it's important that we have as much price action as possible to consider. This just doesn't, to me, doesn't look like a convincing bullish move just yet. And I'm not saying that it can't transform into that, right? If we continue to ride low within this range in this way, then I probably will be like, hey, you know, this is, you know, this looks, by the time we get up here later on into the week, into the end of the month, I'll be like, look, this looks like it wants to build up to break to the upside. Again, we're not playing that side of it, right? We'll play the upside side of it here along this bottom trend. But we're not thinking, oh, we're going to break the trend until we break the trend, right? So what does that mean? We enter positions down here for long with stops below the trend, right? And then once it hits this trend, we close those positions, okay? And then we wait for confirmation above, and maybe we don't close them entirely. Maybe we leave runners or something like that with a stop loss below to secure profit, right? Alternatively, if the opposite occurs, we do the opposite, right? We wait for this, right? We're not trying to get insanely when you're up here, okay, when you're playing a macro trend, when you're near a macro trend in the manner that you are here, you are relatively risk off. That is the nature of your positioning has to be uh look, we don't have confirmation to either side. We can say that it's relatively distributive, although we want. We can say it's hanging high within the range or whatever, but as far as like a shorter term, what we talk about on the channel, right? We're talking about days, weeks, months. You have to be relatively risk off. Now, over the course of years, you can do something different, right? Maybe months you can do something different as well. You can start to, because you have time in your contracts, you can say, hey, I favor the short side because we're hanging so high within this relative trend. You could do that sort of thing. That's not the way that I'm playing the market currently. Just because I do like the structure overall. I do like the structure overall. So this is a boring place in the chart in my opinion. I think that what you're gonna see is you're gonna see people's heads getting chopped off left and right. People are gonna not know what to think about the market for the next week or so, and either you break up or you break down, and then from there there's a bigger implication. Okay, let's talk about from there. Okay, if at any point you break up, I think that you're going to be in a very boring place, okay, where you're going to chop around like crazy here. I don't think that you're just going to have this crazy, insane rally. I think that it's more likely that you're going to chop around up there, and honestly, that would look very distributive to me. And then that would be like, I have a hard time seeing that playing out well, okay? I don't necessarily think that you're ready to, like, I just don't agree. Like, it's hard for me under this bear trend to start saying, yeah, we break up here and then we start to look like super bullish and stuff. Like, I'm just not ready for that yet. Now, if you break up here, how would that happen, right? If you break up here and then you have that rounded bottom sort of look occur, then I could see. I just don't see that outcome from this chart just yet, in my opinion. And I'm willing to have my mind changed. Let me see. I would have to see it like wedge down like this for a while. It would have to like really, really cement the bear trend as support. It's not going to be this like, I just don't see this like rocket. This rocket occur in this way. That to me, that's one of the least likely scenarios. It's possible, certainly, but it's just one of the least likely scenarios in my opinion. I do think that it is more likely that eventually you end up still going down to lower lows within this relative market structure. I do still feel that way. That is still generally my bias, and that's probably because we're just hanging out up here by this bear trend, right? It could be just as simple as that, right? So it can look like any of these things. Again, look, you're hearing it in my voice. Like, I don't have this like overly contentious, like I'm so focused and driven on a specific idea when it comes to that thing. It's more of like, look, we're hanging around this bear trend. We have a few trends. We look like we're going to go into a chopping sort of symmetrical triangle sort of look for the next week or so. And then from there, wherever we break to, that's going to be where we get our bigger bias from for the long term. We're at a really, really decision-making zone right now. This is not, back when, let's see, when was a time where we were way more convicted, right? So we had the midline play back in the day, right? So back here, we were looking distributive. We were like, look, we're very distributive up against this middling trend line here. We're probably going to go down. We came down. We tested bottom. Once we broke back above here, we said, look, it does look like we could break this midline. Our bias is still relatively bearish until we do that. But once we do, we could see the light and see a move up to the bear trend, right? We got that. We broke back down. We tested the midline. And we knew, right? We knew that once we tested that midline, that the likelihood was that the trend was going to continue. We were continuing to trend up, right? We created a higher low, and then boom. I literally remember I remember I tweeted that I was buying calls right before this. It was a CPI, I believe, and then we rocketed up in pre-market the next day, and everybody was bearish, dude, because it bled out all the previous 2 days, 3 days, whatever. What I'm saying is, the trend is your friend. Okay, do not like. The trend is the most important thing to be watching. Okay, and the longer that trend has been going on, the more powerful that trend is. Okay, so as of now, I know everybody on Twitter is super bullish. For the most part, that's what I'm seeing. But until we break this macro bear trend, this big white line here, my general bias, like I am not up here loading calls. Like if you're trying to make a longer term position right now, the longer term position to be building is to say, hey, let's assume that this is going to hold, right? Let's assume this will hold because it has. It just has, right? Let's assume it's going to hold. Right now is a good time. Puts are getting chewed up right now, right? Let's build a little position here. If that's how you want to play the market, this isn't financial advice. I'm just saying how I would do it. Let's build a position as long as we're below here. And if we at any point break above, we just stop. We just stop it out, right? If you buy longer term contracts, you're not going to get chewed up by theta in that way. And this relative break in Greeks, yes, it's going to hurt. It's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be free. You can lose a lot of money doing this. But relative, right? Relative cost compared to if you were to be loading calls while you're under here, that's my thing, you know? It's like if you're bullish, right, and you want to have calls. You want to buy longer dated calls, right? Because you think it's going to go to 4,300 by April. Like, I just think that you're in a relatively risky zone, like to be like creating a position like that, when historically you would be wrong. I don't know, right? When you could just wait, right? You could just wait and see it break over and hold over for a little while. Or even break over. As soon as it breaks over, calls, stop below. You know what I'm saying? I'm not financial advice, but how much more money, right? Let's say you're right. How much more money, right? And right now, how much more money would you be making by buying calls? By buying calls here instead of here, or even here. How much more money would you'd make more money? Maybe you're right. How much are you saving on those options contracts? If it's 1% and you buy a contract that's like 4 or 5 months out. How much? I don't know. Maybe you're right. You know? I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I would say personally, me, like I said before, right? Since we got rejected here initially by this bear trend, any pumps are an opportunity to add to your longer term short position, if that's how you want to play the market, until you break the bear trend. And then when you break the bear trend, the shorts should and will, okay, institutions that are short will, at that point, they will get out of their positions quickly. They will do that, and you can have a pretty nasty squeeze, pretty big move up fast. And then if there's not enough effort there, if there's not enough volume there, they will reshort it, right? That's why Composite Man left this line behind so that he could do that too. Okay. So that's pretty much the video. I kind of rambled, kind of bounced around and stuff like that. I just, I guess and I didn't really say much, but what I will say is that until you're over the bear trend, right now is a bearish opportunity, generally speaking. I mean, it's hard to predict what's going to happen tomorrow because you're kind of sitting in the middle of these trends or whatever. It doesn't really matter. And then look, on a shorter term basis too, it's like, okay, we're not denying this bull trend. We're not going to say that this bull trend is going to end until it ends. So that's how I view the market. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you learned something or gained something from that. And at the end of the day, I'm just a guy. I literally have a shirt that says "Send nudes" on it. Do you really, I'm just one person, okay? There are people who teach this stuff. There are plenty of people. Go out there, find some information, learn some stuff from those people, and then come back to me and let me know what you learned, and then tell me if I'm smart or not. And then, use that. My technical analysis and my skill set in general of anything is pretty much just the result of me working with, you might hear my son in the background, is the result of me acquiring a little bit from here and there, right? So like a lot of people on YouTube and different places on the internet, like Googling, like different tools and stuff like that. That's how I learned technical analysis. And and I've come up with some concepts on my own and stuff like that. But generally speaking, my technical analysis is just the baby of like maybe 1,000 people that I've seen do technical analysis, or 100. I don't know, 1,000. I don't know how many. 1,000 people do technical analysis. That sounds kind of crazy, but I pick up little things and then find what works for me and I make it my own thing. That's pretty much everything. That's how I learned. So I didn't go to like college, or I didn't like I didn't work with like at Citadel and have Kenny G teach me or anything like that. That's how I learned. So that's what I'm telling you is, don't just believe me or trust me or listen to me or learn from me. Go and learn from other people. Take what I have and what they have and what everybody has, and then develop your own like style and whatever works for you. This channel, the point of this channel is just to give you my perspective. I'm only one guy. I can't perfectly explain my perspective all the time either, because I'm like human. I'm not like a teacher or whatever, a formal educator, a financial advisor, if you will. I'm just a dude, On that note, I'm actually going to end the video. Did you come here to watch me? Watch me burn. I won't let it show that I'm not always high. Come all the way down and watch me burn. I won't let it show that I'm not always mine. Go all the way down and watch me burn. All right, peace. Have a good week, dude. All right.